When, in your opinion, or generally speaking, when does, a passionate patriot or patriotism in general become nationalism, or does that person become a nationalist?
Well, that's a key question, because patriotism is appealed to all the time by nationalists, and nationalists tell you that to be a patriot is to adhere to their politics, right? Vote Brexit, vote Trump, that's patriotism, make America great again. But there is a very important difference between patriotism and nationalism. Patriotism is to love your country. I love pie. Yeah? Nationalism is to love your country with disregard to all others. There is no such thing as humanity if you're a nationalist. I love pie and it is only for the British born. You see? Yeah. So nationalism as opposed to patriotism is necessarily exclusionist. And it also creates a hierarchy of rights. A key thing that defines nationalism is that a nationalist does not believe that there's such a thing as a universal set of rights. Rights are only by identity, and in fact identity is how nationalism explains most problems, right? Too much migration, too much difference, that is. You see, too much of a different identity is the source of our problems. Just like Marxism, for instance, reads everything into income bands and class, right? And uses that to explain any form of social or political problem. Well, nationalism explains problems through issues of identity. Too many foreigners, or not enough power for us vis-à-vis foreigners. We have conceded too much, right? So it's a form of heightened and ultra-simplified tribalism.
Do you think it's ultimately driven by not hatred, but a very negative kind of outlook on the other?
Absolutely. I mean, and nationalism is not driven necessarily by a hatred of the other, of the foreigner, as much as an assumption that identity makes us into different species that are bound to struggle with one another for survival and supremacy. So, for instance, key actors in the mainstream nationalist movements, but also on the very far right nationalist movements will tell you, no, it's not that we think that foreigners are evil, it's that it's natural for them to work against us and us against them. Why? Because we are of different identity, you see, and because they believe that everything is driven by identity, and that identities are these birthrights that determine your politics, then you will be bad for me if you're of a different identity, you see. We are doomed to survive. So it's ultimately a very sad, I think, and rather pessimistic outlook on human nature.
It really sounds like it. It really sounds like it. When you dig beneath the surface of it, it's, all these crazy kind of themes and thoughts from people seem to crop up. It's,
Well, yes, but they're not necessarily crazy, you see, because the thing about nationalism now is that it has been quite coherent, unlike its opponents in the liberal and on the left, and on other political spaces. Nationalists have been very effective at saying, this is the problem, this is the identity reason why it's happening, too many Hispanic migrants in America, for instance, and this is how we're going to resolve it. You see, if politics is a competition to explain why you're not doing well, and shall we say, a competition to offer you solutions for you to pick from, then the nationalist political offering, so to speak, is quite attractive because it's very similar. The problem is people that are different from us. If there are less of them, things will be better.
Very simple to understand, very simple to get your head around, very protectionist.
And crucially, very empowering for the individual. This is something that I think opponents of nationalism have not quite understood yet. On the left, and the centre, and the liberals and other traditions have not quite understood that nationalism links to the individual in a very, very specific and special way. And that is by saying you were born British, therefore you deserve something because of that.